Welcome to Unfamiliar Readings, where I, Dr. Octavia Cox, read aloud underloved texts.
On the 18th of July, 204 years ago, in 1817, Jane Austen died. Her brother, Henry Austen, in his biographical notice of the author, published along with Northanger Abbey and Persuasion in December of that same year, 1817, wrote that she, Jane Austen, wrote whilst she could hold a pen, and with a pencil when a pen was become too laborious. The day preceding her death, and it seems that here Henry was slightly mistaken, she composed some stanzas replete with fancy and vigour. Today I'm going to read these stanzas replete with fancy and vigour that Jane Austen wrote only 3 days before she died, when she knew she was dying. She wrote them at 8 College Street in Winchester, a cathedral city 16 miles from her home in Chawton, also in Hampshire, where Jane Austen had gone with her sister Cassandra in May 1817 in the hope of being treated by the local highly respected surgeon. Incidentally, Jane Austen would go on to be buried in Winchester Cathedral only 9 days after this poem was written. Before I begin, let me just note that St Swithin's Day is celebrated on the 15th of July. Swithin was the Bishop of Winchester in the mid-9th century, so in medieval times, and was regarded afterwards as the patron saint of the city of Winchester. On the 15th of July 971, so over a century after Swithin had died, his grave was moved from outside, where he had originally been buried in Winchester Cathedral, to a splendid shrine inside, which is referred to in the poem. And a massive storm on that day, apparently provoked by Swithin's anger at being disturbed, prompted the local popular myth that if it rained on St Swithin's Day, it would rain for 40 days afterwards. I wonder if the 15th of July 1817 was a rainy day. Let me also note that the Winchester races are a series of horse races and associated festivities held regularly in July, and we might remember the fate of Tom Bertram in Mansfield Park, whose overindulgence in pleasure at Newmarket races almost kills him. Here are the stanzas replete with fancy and vigour, which Jane Austen wrote only 3 days before she died. When Winchester races first took their beginning, it is said the good people forgot their old saint, that is St Swithin, not applying at all for the leave of St Swithin, and that William of Wykeham's approval was faint. William of Wykeham was the founder of Winchester College, which Jane Austen could see from College Street. The races, however, were fixed and determined. The company met, and the weather was charming. The lords and the ladies were satined and ermined, and nobody saw any future alarming. And what a brave line this is, I think, from someone who knows they're dying. Nobody saw any future alarming. But when the old saint was informed of these doings, he made but one spring from his shrine to the roof of the palace which now lies so sadly in ruins, and then he addressed them all standing aloof. So this is the shrine that I mentioned. He had this beautiful, magnificent shrine inside Winchester Cathedral. And the palace is Wolvesey Palace, which had been the residence of the Bishop of Winchester in medieval times. O subjects rebellious, O venter depraved. Venter is the Roman name for Winchester. O venter depraved, when once we are buried, you think we are dead, but behold me, immortal. By vice you're enslaved, you have sinned and must suffer. Then further he said, these races and revels and dissolute measures with which you're debasing a neighbouring plain, let them stand. You shall meet with your curse and your pleasures. Set off for your course. I'll pursue with my reign. Ye cannot but know my command urge a lie, henceforward I'll triumph in showing my powers. Shift your race as you will, it shall never be dry. The curse upon Venter is July in showers. What a poem to write on your deathbed. When once we are buried, you think we are dead, but behold me, immortal. The one and only, immortal, Jane Austen.